Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Relentless and Unstoppable, and we welcome Peggy Reed onto the show. Hey, how you doing?
I am awesome.
Where are you at the moment?
I am at my apartment and I live in Everett.
Oh, I just came back from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You see the mountain.
Yep, I saw Mount Rainier and went to the beach, had some huckleberry ice cream, old huckleberries.
Oh yes, yum, yum, yum. We do things well.
Definitely. So tell our followers a bit of what you're known for in the RNU community.
Excuse me. Well, I was trying to figure out because I always forget. I think it's been 4 years or 5 years now. I had a pretty major stroke. And in that stroke, they didn't know if I was going to make it. I don't remember anything. I just remember, I remember taking the ambulance to the hospital. And then I remember my son wanting me to unlock my phone. And so I was like out. And then just all of a sudden, I just reached up and did the pattern thing that I have to do for my phone. And that was it. That's the last thing I remember. And then I found out later that I had a pretty major stroke. And so it was in the clot was in my carotid artery. And so it's actually, so I have right side deficit. And so the joy of that is that I'm right-handed. So I've had to relearn a lot of things. When I was in rehab, I went through speech therapy. I went through physical therapy and occupational therapy. And I did go back to work for a brief amount of time, but I kept having TIAs, which are mini strokes. And so after I had like my third one, it was like, I can't work anymore. And so I've just been kind of doing, but it's wonderful though, because I've overcome so much, to be honest. I mean, when I first had my stroke, I could walk, but it was really hard for me to find words. So I would have to think like a lot about words. It's like, do you ever have the thing where you like know what the word is, but it won't come out? That's kind of what I had to deal with.
Yeah, that's tough. How did it feel being in the hospital for that?
It was kind of surreal, actually. It really, because I really had no idea. It's like I lost a chunk of time. And so I kind of felt like I didn't really have a lot of control of anything that was going on around me. And so I kind of I'm a go with the flow kind of gal anyway. So I just kind of went with the flow. I forget how long, I think I was 3 weeks in the hospital. And then I think I was like 5 or 6 weeks in rehab. And so, and with the rehab, I have the most amazing speech therapist. And so she really helped me with things to do, like when I can't find a word. And, and the hardest thing is that people don't understand that. And for anybody who has any kind of a disability or a different ability, it's really, it's something that's really frustrating. I think that the most part of that is when people just don't understand. And that's really hard. And so I am a pretty positive person and I try to accept everything, but that's one thing that's really difficult. I had people saying that I was faking all this and all kinds of stuff. It has been a heck of a journey, but the one thing that I have to say is that I'm alive. And so that has been the biggest thing. And so I'm really grateful because they didn't know. My son told me that the doctors had told him that if I don't wake up, I may not be ever waking up. And so I know that that was really hard on him. My son is 20 years old. And so he's a super, super important person to me. And I'm a grandma now. So I have a beautiful granddaughter. And I just really believe that God wanted me to be here so that I could experience all that stuff.
Definitely. That's really incredible. It's always good when you have grandchildren and it makes you feel proud.
Yes, yes. And he's in the Army and they live in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And so I got to go and visit there. I think it's been like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so, but again, I mean, it's something that I wouldn't have been able to experience. And I'm so grateful for that part of it. I mean, it's like you really appreciate life. And the biggest thing is that I've learned not to like take things so hard. And I talk good. Anxiety kind of doesn't exist for me anymore. Like maybe once a month I might have anxiety, but I used to have really bad anxiety attacks. I had anxiety and I have PTSD and things like that. And so, that's virtually gone now because I've just taken on this philosophy that, I mean, it's not like I don't care, but it's like, there's just in the grand scheme of things, there's so many little things that aren't as important that I used to think were really important. And so that might be a part of getting older. So.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I remember when I had a relationship with my grandfather, it's always a good experience. I didn't have him as much into my life because he died when I was 10 years old, but I knew him long enough to know what his reputation was. And my fondest memory of my grandfather was about a couple years before he died when I stayed a few nights with him and my grandmother. And he took me on a tour of the Colorado region from Sterling, Colorado to Rush and Yuma, Colorado. And he showed me all the sugar beet factories and the electrical plants in the area and the oil fields. And that was a good experience.
Yeah. My cousin actually was living in Colorado for a little while. And so I wanted to go visit her, but then she decided it wasn't the place for her. So now, but yeah, it's really cool. And grandparents are so precious. I my grandma when I was like 2 and my grandpa when I was in my late 20s. And so, and I mean, I have a whole bunch of just challenges I had a horrible childhood. And I actually, before CPS really did this, CPS took me away from my dad and I lived with my mom. So I was living in Eastern Washington and then I moved to Western Washington, Everett is where I live now. But yeah, it was like a whole other kind of culture shock. So I guess what I'm saying is that it kind of feels like I've had so many weird traumas and weird things that have happened in my life. And I feel like I've really learned from all of those experiences. And so now I'm perfect and I never do anything wrong. So as if.
I was puzzled when you said that. I was like,
hey, for what you did for the night at the museum, that's we'll just say now we're even.
Okay, just a side note, everybody. Before this RNU episode, I pranked her with a night at the museum reference and she didn't get it, so she's gotten me back now.